among different cloud consumers. And most of the time, the cloud consumers or the cloud users, they are accessing all these cloud services using the internet-based browser. You use different browsers to access different kind of cloud services. And what is the advantage? Well, the cloud users, they can access the information from anywhere, anytime using that browser. And there are various features of cloud computing like on-demand self-service. Whenever the user demands for a set of resources, the resources are made available to the cloud consumer or the user. It is having a broad network access. You can access the cloud services across the globe, okay, from all the locations. Resources are pooled and resources are shared. So the user assumes that large number of resources are available to provide different kind of services. And all these resources in cloud, they are shared among different cloud consumers. Rapid elasticity. Okay, the number of resources can be suddenly increased or decreased depending upon the demand. So that's why the cloud resources are elastic. Okay, that can be made available to the consumer all of a sudden. It is a major service. So what resources the cloud consumer will use, the cloud consumer is supposed to pay for all these services. There exists a pricing model, okay, which the cloud consumer or cloud user can purchase from a cloud service provider. And we know there are four types of cloud: private cloud, public cloud, community cloud, and hybrid cloud. So what is a private cloud? It is a cloud which is managed by any organization for its intended purpose. So like you know that some of the IITs, they are having its own cloud, and all these cloud services are accessible within the organization only. Then we have another cloud that is known as the public cloud. Okay, so public cloud is owned by some cloud service provider, and this cloud service provider provides services to all the consumers or users on the internet. So these services are open for each and everyone on the internet. Then we have a community cloud. So community cloud has some purpose, like several organizations, they are collaborating on some research. So they establish a cloud and they get the cloud services across different organizations. So the different organizations, when they join together and they create a cloud for exchange of information for different kind of cloud services, depending upon interest, it is actually called as a community cloud. Then there is also a concept of hybrid cloud. So hybrid cloud is basically the combination of two or more types of above clouds, right? So you know that there are different cloud services like platform as a service, like software as a service, like storage as a service. So it might be possible for any organization that the organization using a private cloud for storage as a service. The organization is using a public cloud for software as a service, like that. So that is actually known as the hybrid cloud. And what are the different cloud service models? So there are mainly three cloud service models. It could be either software as a service, platform as a service, or infrastructure as a service. So what does it mean by software as a service? Software as a service cloud service model offers a number of software applications, okay, which are running onto hardware devices which are managed by some cloud service provider, right? Like Google Doc, you are using the Google Doc. So you are getting a Microsoft Word like environment in Google Doc, and that is offering you Word as a service, Word application as a service. Like Google Sheet you have, okay, it is also acting as a software as a service. So you need not to install and upgrade any software. Okay, that will be provided by the cloud service provider, right? You need not to buy the license, you need not to purchase, you need not to install, you need not to deploy the software. You are simply getting the software for your use. Another is platform as a service. So when we talk about the platform, it means that it provides the platform in form of some operating system, in form of some executable environment, so that developers may develop their applications using that platform. So virtual machine come into this platform as a service. Then we have the infrastructure as a service. So when we say the infrastructure as a service, it offers various kind of hardware resources, okay, which are required by a cloud consumer or a cloud user. So in this infrastructure as service, uh, the cloud consumers, they can install their operating system, they can install their applications, okay, because they are getting different kind of hardware resources from a cloud service provider, right? So storage as a service will come under this category, infrastructure as a service. Now, what are the security related issues in this cloud security? Okay, so first we will talk about the data related security issues. Okay, you know that when the cloud consumers, they are actually using the cloud services. Okay, different cloud consumers, they are actually having a lot of data which is going to be stored on different devices which are managed by cloud service provider. Okay, so what is the first issue? First issue is the data breach. Data breach has two sub-issues like confidentiality and integrity. Confidentiality means no unauthorized person should be able to see, should be able to know about your data. Your data, which is going to be stored onto the cloud, is secure from unauthorized access. Okay, that is actually known as the confidentiality. Your data is confidential so that no other person can see, no other person can find out what is your data. The second is the integrity. Okay, integrity means correctness of your data. Whatever your data is going to be stored onto some machine, onto the cloud, your data always need to be correct. It should not be modified by anyone. It should not be incorrect. Whenever you access your data, you are getting the data what you have stored. Right. So these two issues come into this first category known as data breach. Okay. So data breach is a data related security issue. Another issue is data lock-in. Okay. Data lock-in means that different cloud service providers, they are actually going to store your data in different ways. Okay, so if cloud consumer or the cloud user is migrating from one cloud service provider to another cloud service provider, then it is not possible to migrate the data from one cloud service provider to another cloud service provider, because these different cloud service providers, they are actually using different ways, different methods to store your data. Okay, so that's why this is a also another data related security issue that is actually known as the data locking. Once you start using a cloud service provider services, your data is going to be stored onto machines of that cloud service provider, and you become bound to use that cloud service provider service. Because if you migrate, you will lose your data, and that may be a serious problem for a particular cloud consumer or a user. Right. So this is actually known as the data locking problem. Your data becomes locked with the cloud service provider. Though it is possible that you may download your data from a particular cloud service provider, but the data you are getting from the cloud service provider is not possible to be migrate to another cloud service provider. The another data related security issue is the data remainance. Okay, so what is this issue? That you know that a lot of data is going to be produced all the time you are accessing the cloud services, and after some period of time you are actually erasing or deleting your data from the particular cloud. So what happens that sometime your data is not going to be erased completely from the hardware devices where this data is going to be stored. So it has a problem. Okay, so this data remainance, it is the residual or remaining representation of the data that is still there onto the storage device and which you have tried to remove or delete in some way or other. Okay, so whatever data that remains there is still onto the storage device. It can be it can have some sensitive information related to you, and it can be possibly revealed to any other person. Okay, so it is also a serious issue that how to completely destroy the data which you are going to store onto the cloud, and how you can ensure that your data has been completely destroyed from the storage devices. Because if some data remains there onto the storage device and that contains some useful information, that information can be captured by some unauthorized persons. Another issue is of data recovery. You know that sometime your data is going to be stored onto some server, and server may break down, server may fail, and it may damage your data onto that server. So how you will be able to recover your data in case of such kind of failures? Okay, so most of the time, what the different cloud service providers do, they actually replicate your data onto some another machines. So in case one machine fails, you may recover your data from another servers or other machines which are managed by cloud service provider. Right. Then the further issue is of data locality. Okay, so when we talk about the SaaS model of cloud, software as a service model of cloud environment, and the cloud user does not know where the data is going to be stored. Okay, uh, so this issue can be resolved by creating a secure SaaS model, and in such a way so that the customer may rely upon something which you with the cloud service provider provide about the security of the data. Okay, and sometimes what happens that the SaaS model may provide some option that the cloud consumer can store this data onto their own machines. Then we have other issues which are related to the application. They are called the application related security issues. Right. So first issue is the cloud malware injection attack. Okay. Cloud malware injection attack. So what happens in this attack? A malicious or corrupted virtual machine or some service implementation is injected into the cloud system. Okay, so some attacker may try to inject a malicious virtual machine onto the cloud, and if you are getting the services from that cloud virtual machine, your data or your important information may be hijacked, may be stolen by the attack. So what is the solution? One solution to prevent this is to perform the integrity check. So all the time you are actually using a particular cloud service, your system is going to check whether the service has been instantiated, has been created by the particular authorized virtual machine or not. Okay, so that could be one solution for this kind of problem. Another is cookie poisoning. Okay, so I hope that all of you are aware what is a cookie. Is there anyone who is aware what is a cookie? So whenever you browse any website, you access some information on the internet. Okay, cookies are going to be stored inside the browser. So cookies consist of some information which is going to be stored in terms of file, and they are located at some portion of your browser. So cookies help to communicate your system with another systems on the internet, and that's why your browsing experience becomes quite good. Okay, so cookies are there to enhance your browsing experience, to allow you to faster browsing on the internet. So what happens sometimes that these cookies may be corrupted by some unauthorized access. Okay, so attacker may try some unauthorized access, and attacker may try to modify the contents of the cookie. Okay, so if the contents of the cookie are going to be modified by attacker, then the cloud consumer will face a lot of problems. A lot of information of cloud consumer can be revealed to the attacker. Right. So what is the solution? The solution is to clean up the cookie after some period of time, or it may be possible that the data of the cookie may be encrypted in by some encryption algorithm. Another issue is the backdoor and debug option. Okay, so you know that different applications, they are developed by different developers. Okay, and these different cloud services, they are implemented by different developers on the cloud. Okay, so generally the developer, they want to sometimes debug. Okay, they want to find out what is the issue with the particular service or the application which is running onto the cloud. Okay, so debug option is there for the developers who use it to implement any changes requested at later stage in a website. Okay, and through this debug option, the developers may find out what are the causes of a certain problem in a service or in some software application, right? And how do they debug? They actually, different developers, they are actually having some entry points into these applications and services, through which they enter into the application or the service, and they debug the application or the service to find out what are the different causes for a certain problem. Okay, So sometimes when these entry points are not closed by the developers, okay, the attacker may get a easy access to these entry points, and that's why the attacker may access different things into your application and your service. So sometimes these debug options are left enabled unnoticed. Okay, entry points are there into your application and service, okay, which are known as the backdoors. Okay, so generally these entry points are for developers only, and if the developer is not going to close all these entry points after the debugging operation, after the upgradation of service or the application, then it may be that attacker may access these entry points to access information onto your application and your service. So that could be a disaster sometimes. Okay, another problem is hidden field manipulation. Okay, so when your websites are designed, you know that there are some fields which are actually hidden in the website and which are actually only used by the developers. So if the attacker or the hacker comes to know about these hidden fields, okay, attacker or hacker can easily modify your web pages onto the websites. So that is another serious security issue. Then we have the another level of security issue which are called the CSP level attacks. Okay, CSP stands for Content Security Policy Level Attacks. So you want to ensure the security of your content, what is there onto your website, what is there onto your cloud. Okay, so what are the different attacks possible onto the content when you have some content onto the cloud? So there are different kind of attacks. One is ghost hoping attack. So in this ghost hoping attack, attacker will try to access one virtual machine, okay, and it will try to breach or penetrate into another virtual machine which is running onto the same kind of hardware. So you know that in case of cloud computing, there are many virtual machines running onto the same hypervisor. Okay, so attacker may try to gain access of one virtual machine, and attacker may use that virtual machine to target other virtual machines which are running onto that hypervisor or hardware. So that attack is known as the ghost hoping attack. Attacker is utilizing one of the virtual machines to target other virtual machines running onto the cloud. Another kind of attack is what? SQL injection attack. You know that SQL is what? SQL is a query language. Okay, so you have a database. Okay, and you have a relational database in which you store your data in terms of tables. So SQL is known as the structured query language. So SQL is a language in which you can issue the commands to the database to fetch a lot of information. Right. So what happens in case of this SQL injection? It can be done by injecting the SQL commands into the database on the application so that database may be corrupted, so that database may crash. So attacker may try to inject some SQL commands into the database which is there onto the cloud, okay, so that your database may be destroyed, so that your database may be corrupted. That attack is known as the SQL injection attack. Then we have another kind of attack possible, that is known as the malicious insider. Okay, so in case of private cloud, you know what is a private cloud? Private cloud is owned by a particular organization, and you know that different people are working into that organization. So it may happen that some person is granted access to sensitive data, okay, of some other administrators, and such kind of privileges are available to that person, which can expose a lot of information. So it may be possible that the person within the organization may have a lot of privileges to access sensitive information onto the cloud, and that person may reveal that information to any other person outside of the organization. Right. So that is also a attack that is known as the malicious insider. Then we have the another attack possible that is known as the side channel attack. Okay. So this side channel attack occurs when the attacker is placing a malicious virtual machine on the same physical machine which is acting as a victim machine. So what the attacker is doing? Attacker is putting some malicious or corrupted or infected virtual machine onto the physical machine which he is targeting to get the information. Right. So this is actually known as the side channel attack. Then we have another level of attack into this cloud security, which are known as the network level attacks. So in this network level attack, first is the category of DNS attack. DNS attack, DNS stands for domain name server. So first is domain hijacking. Okay, domain hijacking is defined as changing the name of the domain without the knowledge or permission from the domain's owner or creator. Okay, so you might have seen that different websites they are provided some domain. Okay, the attacker may try to alter the domain name of a particular website or a particular web page without taking the permission from the domain's owner. Okay, and that's why the attacker may get access to some sensitive information onto that website. Right. So you have seen that some websites like akgec.ac.in. So .ac stands for academic. Okay, .in stands for India. So what are these? These are what domains. So attacker may try to change some of the domain, and that's why the attacker may enable something into the web page so that he may get access to some sensitive information. Okay, another attack that is also there, and most of the time you may see it is known as the cross-site scripting. Okay, so it is a type of attack in which the user enters some URL of a website, and the hacker on the other side, it will redirect the user to its own website. Okay, so if you are accessing a website, okay, perhaps you may or may not be aware whether it is a genuine website or whether it is a website that has been created by a hacker. So in cross-site scripting, what happens that when you access any particular website, which is a genuine website, and you put some information into the website, that information is captured by the attacker, and attacker will redirect you to some other website, which is actually a fake website, so that the attacker may know your passwords and login and other important sensitive information. Right. So this kind of attack you will find most often that you are accessing a website sometime which is actually a fake website. You might have heard about that Sometimes some people are getting a phone call regarding their account in a particular bank, and they are asking you to visit a website so that they may steal your credentials, they may steal your password and other entity. Right. So that is actually known as a cross-site scripting attack. Then there is another category of attack known as the IP spoofing. Okay, so IP stands for Internet Protocol. Okay, and one of the attack in this category that is quite famous, which is known as the DOS attack. DOS means denial of service. So attacker will or the hacker will overflow the network server or a web server by sending a number of services so that it may collapse the network, and so that the necessary services which you are getting from the server will not be getting. So you see into this diagram that the attacker is sending a number of packets from its own systems to this server. Okay, and this server becomes so busy so that it will keep processing all these packets which are coming from the attacker, and that's why it is not able to provide the necessary services to other users which are connected to that particular server. Then we have another attack in this category known as the man in the middle attack. Okay, so suppose that the user is exchanging some of the information with another machine onto the internet, and there may be some attacker in between these two machines, and the attacker is trying to reveal the information which is going over the network. So sometime when you are accessing a website which is not a secure website, it may be possible that the attacker may tap the network, okay, between these two machines, and attacker may come to know about some sensitive information. Then we have the another attack that is known as the network sniffing. Okay, so in this case of network attack, okay, uh, unencrypted data is hacked from the network. So if the data is some data is traveling on the network and which is not encrypted, so that data can be captured, that data can be known to some attacker through this network sniffing.